Hello and welcome to a new video from WARRIC. Well, we see it now. We've had both consoles revealed to the world. Now we know now what the PlayStation 5 looks like. We've been known for a while what the Xbox Series X looks like, but this is a bit of a shocker. We now know that Sony is going to have its own digital-only console. Now that's a first for Sony. I personally think it's a bit of a mistake, but we shall see, over time. But I've done this little video is to talk about what the difference is between a digital console only and a Blu-ray disc-based system, which is how most people have. They always have a physical drive. Now, digital versions are good, and they are cheaper mainly than what Blu-ray disc-based versions are. But I always have a problem with digital-only consoles. Is they all rely on the internet. If you lose your internet, you can't play your console, as far as I know, because digital consoles rely on logging in, verifying your username, and verifying the digital content, which has to be on the internet. Because remember a while back when Microsoft launched the Xbox One and they had all that DRM problems, and they actually lost E3 over it. And this is what I'm talking about. I don't think the world is ready for digital only, not in consoles. Music, yes, but not in consoles. Because I always say this: if you got the internet at your own house, if you was to lose your internet, if there was an outage and you couldn't get online for a couple of weeks or a month, your new Xbox Series X digital or the new PlayStation 5 digital is useless. Unless they can come out with a thing where you can actually just log in without being on the internet and play your games digitally that way, then it's not too bad. Because the one advantage that a Blu-ray disc-based system has over a digital is you can just get the disc, plop it into your PlayStation 5 or your Xbox Series X Blu-ray version and play the game. Single player only, of course. You couldn't play the multiplayer, but the thing is, you can play your games. Also, you can play films, DVDs, Blu-rays, etc. But on a digital-only console, you need the internet. I don't know what Microsoft and Sony, I hope they are actually thinking about that problem, because that's the number one problem I see with digital only machines. Without the internet, you can't use them. They will be cheaper. I mean, of course, you run into another problem as well. You mean, if you've got every game in digital, you have to have a very big storage system, and especially with the new SSDs on both the Series X and the PlayStation 5. I mean, I know the PS5 is coming in with a 900 gig, just under a terabyte hard SSD, and I suppose the Xbox will have the same. That is not enough space for a digital-only console. Now, I would have thought that Sony and Microsoft, if they're going to do digital-only consoles, fair enough, you're not paying so much money because you're not getting an optical drive in it. But if that's the case, then they want to be upping the SSD storage capacity. I mean, it's 1 terabyte. I mean, personally, if I was going to buy a PS5 digital-only console, I want at least 3 terabytes minimum. If everything's on the hard drive. I mean, I would never buy that because I like having a Blu-ray drive, because to me, I mean, people say, oh, you buy a console to play games, but I don't. To me, my console is a multimedia hub. If I'm going to pay over £400 or £500 for it, I want it to do more than play video games. I want it to be able to play movies, Blu-ray movies, 4K Blu-ray movies, DVDs. I want it to be able to play Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc., etc. All the new streaming services. I want it to be able to surf the internet, even though I would never use it to surf the internet on. But that's the kind of stuff I want it to do. I want to be fully connected on it. That's why it's called, that would be my multimedia hub. And this is what the problem is. I suppose, you know, 90% of the time, if you're having a digital only console, you could actually, that would work fine. But you know, if your internet provider goes bust, or your internet provider goes down, there's a storm and it puts you out of business, or your internet router blows up, you know, you can't play games, you can't watch Netflix, you can't watch Amazon Prime on it, right? You can't do nothing. In fact, to tell you the truth, without the internet, the digital only consoles are useless. It's like having a toilet without any toilet paper. So, because, you know, the internet is everything. That's why they're called digital consoles, because they rely on a digital network, the internet, to work, you know. So that's why I think, and of course there's another thing side to the story as well. Games like, companies like GameStation and Game, when they I bet you when they heard that Sony had done a digital only console as well as the Blu-ray version, I bet they were going, oh no, because they rely on the second-hand game market, and if people go fully digital, that's all well and good for Sony and Microsoft, because remember, if they get everybody to go digital and buy digital only games, there's no second-hand game market. That meaning they get 100% of the profit from the games. Now, when you buy a game on disc, either on the Xbox or the PlayStation, you can then trade that game in and get £10-20 or whatever for it. All right, and then they buy the game cheaper off you, then resell it for a profit, so they can get money out of it as a, you know, resale value. But I mean, companies like gaming, like, they're dreading when it comes to time when all consoles go digital, because quite frankly they'll be out of business. And this is what I mean, why I don't mind people having digital consoles, but the thing is, you know, look what happened to DVD rental and stuff like that. I mean, because of Netflix and because Amazon Prime and all these other streaming networks, Disney Channel and all that, because of all these different networks now are only stream only. DVD rental places and DVD Blockbuster and all that, they're all gone bust because they can't compete against the internet. The internet it is a very good thing, the internet, but it's also put a lot of businesses out of business, you know, which is not a very good thing. So getting back to the topic, digital only consoles, I can see the need for them, right? But I can also see, to me, there's more negatives than there is pluses, because without the internet, you can't use your digital console. Unless Microsoft come out and Sony come out and announce that even without the internet, you can still play your games, all right, without the internet, I will wait in judgment. Because if they say no, you have to be connected to the internet, because this is what a all connected console, you know, constant connected console is all about, digital. This is what Microsoft tried to do with the Xbox One and failed miserably. And now they're trying to bring it. Now Sony's jumping on the bandwagon. But the thing is, to the console makers, Sony and Microsoft, right, it's a plus. Because if they can get everybody to go digital only, there's no second-hand game market, and it's 100%. They can charge what they like. You say, right, this game's going to cost you £60 with extra DLC, all right, but you can only get it digitally. And also, the problem I see as well is this: if they put everything on digital, right? You know, they've got you, you know, they've got you everything. And I will touch on this subject as well. Now, digital music is a great thing. You can buy CD tracks and all that very cheaply, which is very good. But I would love to adopt digital, as you know, to download all my games on the Xbox or the PlayStation. But the one thing I always say this: there's no physical disc, there's no physical box. you're paying the same money or more, mostly more money for a digital game than you are for a disc-based game. And that, to me, if I've got to pay £50 for a disc-based game, which gets me the disc and the case and all that, fine. But if I've got to pay £50 for a digital-based game, and I think, well, fair enough, you get it day one. As soon as it hits 12:01 on the clock, you can play the game. But the problem I see is once you've got the game, that's it. And also, they're going to have to think about digital trade-ins, or reselling your digital game back to Sony or back to Microsoft, because just like they do on Steam. But the thing is, to me, if digital's going to take off, it's got to be cheaper than what disc-based games are. If I'm going to pay £50 for a new game on Blu-ray, I want that same game to be, say, £30 on digital to make it worth doing. If they say, oh no, it's £50 on digital and £50 on disc, I will buy the disc. One, I can play the game, and then I can take it back to the shop and get probably £15-20 back on my purchase. And then I can get loyalty points for trading it in, credits and all that stuff. So it's a lot better for the consumer at the present to actually buy disc-based games than it is to invest in digital. The only thing I can see digital is good for is if you say you live at the Antarctic and you can't get to a shop, and then you can just download your games on the internet. But as far as I'm concerned, at the moment, digital will be the future in time. I expect it will be. But at the present time, I will never buy a digital-only console if there's a disc-based version as well. That's just my way I look at it. Because the number one thing is, you can play your games on a disc-based console, PS5 or Series X, with the internet off. At the present time, unless someone corrects me, if you've got a digital-only console, if the internet goes down, you can't play your games. So, if you've got anything, if people want to contest what I've just said, please leave some comments in the chat. Or if you like the video, please give it a like. It helps the channel. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed on YouTube. But until the next video, this is going to be WARRIC signing off. See, the thing is, I have a lot of respect for both Sony and Microsoft. But if they're going to release a digital-only console, you've got to see the pluses as well as the minuses. And I think I've actually gone through quite a bit. So to summarise, a digital-only console to me is good, it's cheaper, but if the internet goes off, you can't use it. You can use a disc-based console, PS5, Blu-ray, Xbox, Blu-ray. You can watch films on it. You can play your single-player games on it. You still can use it. But unless I hear it otherwise, if the internet goes down or your modem blows up, you can't use your digital console, Xbox or PS5, because you can't physically log in and you can't physically verify the game because it's digital. So until the next little video, this is WARRIC signing off. Hope you enjoyed this little talk about digital only consoles against disc-based versions. So in that case, to the next video. Remember, you can see me live streaming on DLive, Twitch, Mixer and YouTube. I stream every 2 or 3 days, and I stream all the latest games. I will be streaming The Last of Us Part 2, but not straight away. But I will be streaming, I think this Wednesday at 7 o'clock on Friday the 13th, one of my greatest favourite games. But until the next video, talk about the next gen or any other little topic it comes up, as the gaming world always changes from day to day. This is WARRIC signing off. So until next time, bye bye.